Max Dean is football, and I am Max Dean, aka the most tired dad on YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter at @themaxdean, and right now we are going to dive into our 2022 roster breakdown for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, if you're watching on YouTube, there's going to be 3 separate videos: one for the Steelers' draft tendencies, one for their salary cap, and one for their roster. If you're listening on the podcast feed, it's all going to be one big episode. But with all the videos on YouTube, you're going to get graphics and stuff like that, some visual aids that make it a little bit easier to follow along with everything. But yeah, I'm going to try and do as many teams as I can before season rolls around. So I don't know if I'll be able to do them all, but if you want me to do your team, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Anything that you can do to help support me that basically costs you nothing goes a long way for me, and it also pushes me towards getting your team's deep dive done. So without further ado, let's jump into the 2022 Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, so when we're looking at the offensive side of the ball, I've got everybody here who's currently either under contract or a 2022 draft pick that might not be signed yet officially. So there's always fluidity when you're looking at rosters at this time of year. There's always shuffling at the bottom of the roster. I think by the time that this goes out, this is still probably going to be up to date, but you never know. But just looking at what they've got here, they signed James Daniels and Mason Cole, who project to be the center and right guard of their line. They signed Chukwuma Okorafor to a multi-year deal to play right tackle, and he was the right tackle last year. It looks like Dan Moore Jr. and Kevin Dotson should be in line to play left tackle and left guard, or to return as those starters for them this coming year. So, just starting at the offensive line, when I watched some games to prepare for this, and I didn't go crazy with them. I watched 3 games. I watched one versus each divisional opponent, and I always because I just can't watch everything. I can't look at every game of theirs, and it's just to refresh myself, because obviously I watched some last year too. But the offensive line was not stellar, and so I understand all the limitations that were there with Ben Roethlisberger. He could not consistently throw the deep ball. I mean, I would go to the point and say he consistently could not throw the deep ball. He had a pretty one here and there, but for the most part, he couldn't do it. He just didn't have the accuracy anymore. He just didn't have the strength deep. And they were trying to get the ball out very, very quickly. And anytime he wasn't, the offensive line was pretty leaky. I think, there's a reason that center and right guard are the positions that are being replaced, because I do think that those were the weakest of those. But, something else that I noticed is that it wasn't just being leaky, it was penalties. I only watched 3 games, but it was a consistent feature, if you will, of those 3 games was the Steelers' offensive line penalties. And I can't say for sure if that was ultra consistent throughout the year, but the fact that I saw it in 3 different games consistently from 3 different kind of chunks of the year lead me to believe that might not go away. And their center was definitely the biggest violator from what I saw, but I saw some penalties from Chukwuma Okorafor, from Kevin Dotson. I think even Dan Moore had one at one point, and if I caught one of his from that he had all year, fine. But I just think from a talent perspective, they're a little bit out talented right now. And the fact that Okorafor got $9 million, it really says all you need to know. Because, you know, maybe he just didn't have a better offer out there. But ultimately, the right tackle market has gone up for high quality tackles to on the verge of 20 million per year. So the fact that he's only getting half of that suggests that, you know, he's probably not a long-term right tackle answer. Um, Even though they gave him a multi-year deal, it just doesn't seem like, you know, or if he is, like, he's got to be one of the worst players on your team and on your offensive line. And right now it just doesn't look like that to me. I just worry about that. And from an offensive perspective, I know what their plan is. They're gonna run play action. They're gonna run the ball, and they're gonna rely on Najee Harris as a, you know, as a very, very talented player, to help with the run game. And they're gonna get the ball out quickly and get their playmakers at the wide receiver position to make plays as well. And they're gonna play stout defense. So I get that. I get the logic behind that, but I think in any game where you fall behind, you know, more than 3 points or so for any length of time, this is not an offense that's going to be probably particularly good at making that up right now. And maybe that will develop a little bit as the year goes on. But early in the year, I'm not super confident in what this offense is going to put out on the field. And again, it's not just talent really, because there's plenty there, but it's more about the sum of the parts right now. You know, from a skill position perspective, they've got Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, George Pickens, and Calvin Austin III, all draft picks by them. Deontay Johnson, he had a really nice year last year. I think he's a very good player. You know, they clearly miss him when he's not out there. That much is obvious. Chase Claypool's a guy that, you know, he is incredibly talented. I mean, if you're looking at pure physical ability, he's got to be like one of those top 5 guys in the league as far as that goes. And I think it's kind of coming together. You know, what I see out there, though, also is not the greatest, like, situational football awareness. So I feel like a player like Ben Roethlisberger probably could have developed him even better going into his third year. You would have been able to help him see what's happening on the field a little bit better. You know, remind him of things here and there. I have no idea how effective a rookie quarterback is going to be at doing that. So, like, I'm hopeful for Claypool, but I would not be surprised for him to not have the best year this year. Pickens and Austin, both super talented in their own way. George Pickens is more of that, like, classic bigger receiver. Austin is a super small, speedy guy, very effective out of the slot. So they'll probably have a plan for him. You know, and then to kind of round out the bottom of the chart, they've got probably the guys that'll end up making the team will be probably Anthony Miller, Miles Boykin, and Gunnar Olszewski, or maybe just 2 of those guys. Olszewski's like return specialist, so that's, you know, he takes care of, I think, both of those return spots probably okay, and if not, definitely punt return. Running back, you know, the fact that I think I have it here a little weird. I think probably Anthony McFarland Jr. would be their second best, or their number 2 on the chart, but whatever. It doesn't matter that much, but obviously Najee Harris is their lead back. He's going to see the majority of the carries. Crazy talented player, and he has it all. He really has it all. He's got the size, the physicality, the change of direction, the speed, the receiving skills, you know, the vision. He's one of the best running backs to come out in the past few years, and you can see that last year. Like he's probably going to be the focal point of the offense in 2022, and I think they kind of wanted him to be last year as well, but it's still a lot to ask from a rookie. And then from the tight end position, Pat Fryermuth. I think he definitely came on as the year went along. Earlier on they had Ebron taking more snaps from him, but I thought he played pretty well in the later game that I saw. So I'm pretty optimistic about him being their starter as well. And then at the quarterback position, I don't think I need to sit here and tell you that anytime you have a rookie quarterback who's probably going to be your year-long starter, you're going to have ups and downs. When you look at their offense as a whole, his skill set lends itself to the play action game, because he's not like a crazy off platform thrower, but he's mobile. He's got good mobility, and he can throw on the move. There's definitely, I think people sometimes don't realize the difference between throwing on the move and throwing off platform, because like if you're kind of in phase on a rollout and throwing the ball on the move, that's totally different than like a true off platform throw where you're like escaping pressure and you're not able to kind of use your trained mechanics for that. So I'm not sure, he's not really an off platform guy, but he's definitely a mobile thrower. So he's going to work well with the play action, and he can extend plays. He did it in college. I'm not sure how much he's going to be able to do it in college. I mean, in the pros, and I think not down the field so much. He'll be able to extend the play and hit a guy like that. Is coming off of a flat route, right? So if he has to escape right, and a guy who ran a flat route breaks inward on like sort of like a pseudo slant as the secondary move, like he's gonna be able to hit that kind of stuff on the move, maybe off platform, but I don't think down the field. So it's gonna need to be a primarily in structure offense, I think. But I can see how it can be at least effective enough to win. And like I said, in the beginning, Mike Tomlin always has his teams prepared. And so, I think what you'll see the offense struggle with is just a straight up talent deficiency on the offensive line and some rookie mistakes from a quarterback. And ultimately, it's probably going to keep you out of serious contention this year. But it's the kind of thing where if you can keep a lot of these guys together, maybe address tackle in the first round next year, and then have that year of development from Pickett, you're probably going to get right back in contention real quick. So, and then let's take a look at the defensive side of the ball. So, the Steelers run a 3-4. Traditionally they have 3 down linemen, bigger guys. Cam Hayward is probably one of the best 3-4 linemen in the NFL. Even at this point, he's not like a crazy pass rusher, but he just does everything well. He pushes the pocket nicely on pass downs. Depending on who he's matched up against, he can demand a double team. He's excellent against the run. Just so reliable. And Stephon Tuitt and Tyson Alualu Alualu is definitely not a pass rusher. He's off the field on those third down moments. To it, I mean, he's a good player. I don't think he's ever been really an elite pass rusher, but definitely a high quality player and does everything you need from that 3-4 D end spot. Now the real cream of this defense is TJ Watt. And I mean, it's not just that he won Defensive Player of the Year last year, which I think he did, but like the type of defense that they are able to run when he's out there versus when he's not out there, it's just completely different because he's an animal. I mean, whether it's blowing up run plays, whether it's getting after the quarterback on a consistent basis, forcing fumbles, like he just does everything, and he's just all over the place. And so, you know, they definitely have good players, but they are quite simply not an elite defense if he's not in the game. They're just a good defense. And I know that great players always are kind of the linchpin of any unit. But like I genuinely think the overarching success of this season essentially rides on TJ Watt being available for the majority of the year, if not pretty much every game. You know, because the corners are not spectacular. I mean, I think Minkah Fitzpatrick from the safety position, he makes up for a lot of things. He's probably their second best player. You know, he's all over the place. Like, he's always around the ball. Super instinctive, really smart player. I think he's a great piece to have, but he can only be on really one kind of half of the field at a time. And the fact that, you know, Cam Sutton is one corner, probably corner one, and Levi Wallace is their other. I mean, if you're going up against a team that has two good receivers, like, it's a kind of a tough spot, and they're really going to be relying on pass rush to benefit those guys. You know, and you can funnel coverages as much as you want, but if you don't have an elite pass rusher like TJ Watt, it probably is not going to go well for you. So, you know, the effectiveness is definitely feasible, but just, you know, from what I watched last year and what I see this roster made up of, it's an overall successful season in the sense that, you know, being in legitimate contention for that wild card spot, maybe even getting it, because I just don't see them as division winners this year. It's going to rely on the offense really playing within its structure, you know, minimizing rookie mistakes, getting the ball in Najee Harris's hands, getting the ball out quickly to the wide receivers to make plays, and play action as the primary source of their downfield passing attack. I think, you know, if they can manage that and not get too beat up at the line of scrimmage, and then on the defensive side of the ball, they have TJ Watt for pretty much all of their games, or at least most of them, I think, you know, they can be a fringe playoff team. I think there's a lot of ifs there, though. So, I mean, to me personally, I love the Steelers in the sense that I can see a clear plan. I see a vision. I understand what they're trying to do on a 2022 basis and a beyond basis, and it makes sense to me. And I'm definitely okay with not going all in on 2022, you know, without really knowing for sure what the quarterback situation is going to look like for you in the years going forward. But I just think, like, if you're a Steelers fan, go for it. Like, cheer your team on. Be hyped about your team for this coming year. Like, go into every game expecting to win. I totally get that. But, like, from an outside analyst perspective, I think this is more than likely going to be a year where you're going to lose some close games. Probably just a few too many to make it into the playoffs. And there's going to be a lot of optimism going forward. And you're probably going to be really right back in it in 2023. Those are my thoughts kind of regarding the team. And we'll see. We'll see if I'm right, and we'll see if they make any other kinds of surprise moves that add some talent to the offensive line or something like that. Because I don't think it would move the needle that much, but you never know. I like that they added Miles Jack. I like everything that they have on defense, except really that corner group. And it's not terrible. It just relies so heavily on that elite pass rush, I think. So we'll see. We'll see if they can do it. And of course, if anybody really cares, they've got their special teamers there. But that's really more just for being a completionist than I think anybody really wants to hear anything about that. So if you made it all the way through, let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the way that I've broken this down for you. At this point in the year, I think, rather than doing film reviews of the team with players they don't even have anymore, or talking a million times about the same draft picks that everybody else is, I just wanted to look at it from both a current and long-term perspective, from the draft, cap, and like full-on roster perspective. And so I'm going to be doing that for as many teams as possible. If you want me to do your team like this, like I said, I'd love to do all of them. It seems a little unlikely. So if you have one you really want me to do, throw it in the comments. Hit me up on Twitter. Tweet out my video or any of the videos I'm due for any of these teams. Tell me which one you want me to do, because any interaction from you guys is definitely going to push me towards doing your team first, and making sure I get it done before the season starts. Because once we really get into the season, obviously I'm not going to be doing this anymore. I'm going to move on to what's actually happening. So pretty much whatever I get done before maybe the third preseason game, that's going to be it. But yeah, that's it for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, and I feel like, how can I have not mentioned that they hired Omar Khan? So, the news of that just came out in the last day or so, which was pretty much expected. But, I don't think that they ever had any intention to hire without. I think they were doing due diligence, and I also think that they were kind of just gathering information, getting insights from other people around the league who they were interviewing. But I think, they're a team that feels like they don't have like the formula, but they have their formula. And, I think there's definitely something to be said for that. So I went a little bit long. Maybe I can streamline a little bit more for some of the other teams. But yeah, if you're a Steelers fan, or if you just wanted to hear about the Steelers and you're another AFC North fan, then you got a good hour plus of content. So cheers. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter @TheMaxDean, and let me know which team you want me to do next. All right. Have a good night, everybody.